Yeah, now we are going to discuss about how Spring Boot is working internally after executing the Spring Boot application. You can see here there is a class called Hello World Spring Boot application. This is the main file. From here, Spring Boot actual execution will start. So whenever execution starts from this class, there is a set before Spring Boot application. In generally in traditional Spring application, we used to create web.xml, and there we have to configure dispatcher servlet and application context. There we have to define all our beans, and similarly any authentication related information, whatever it is. So all the configurations, any property files related, everything, each and everything we have to do it from scratch before Spring Boot application. Where in this Spring Boot we are not doing anything, just downloading the project, and we are concentrating on business logic. Now I will explain you. If you can see here, there is a at the rate Spring Boot application annotation. So this is the main annotation in Spring Boot application. If you go inside this class, you can find there is a Spring Boot configuration, enable auto configuration. There is an annotation called enable auto configuration and component scan. These three annotation performing all the configuration which are related to Spring application. So now let me, this is enable auto configuration annotation is going to create dispatch servlet and application context. All those things are going to initialized by at the rate enable auto configuration. Now I will show you few classes how Spring Boot is enabling auto configuration. Let me go to the application.properties. So we are going to debug now. Let me show you. If you want to show the debug logs, we need to enable property, right? We already discussed logging dot level dot org dot spring framework equal to debug. So I am just enabling the debug logs so that we can see what is happening in the background. You can see number of logs. You can see lot of logs are available after once I start the server. Now let me go to positive. There is few positive paths, negative paths available. I'm going to show you that. Dispatcher servlet. You can see, yeah, pause spell mistake. So there is a positive matches. Positive, two different matches are there in background. You can see positive matches in the sense what are all the configurations which are displayed here. Spring Boot will do automatically, and there is a negative matches also. You you can see there is a negative matches. So the negative matches will not Spring Boot will not take care of auto configuration. Only positive matches only Spring Boot will take care of auto configuration. So now you can see here, if you see there is a servlet called dispatcher servlet auto configuration. Are you able to see, right? Dispatcher servlet auto configuration. So in Spring Boot application, if you want to start Spring Framework, we need to configure dispatch servlet. Now, if you see here, Spring Dispatcher Servlet auto configuration matched. So Spring Boot is created, initialized all the dispatch servlet by default. Whenever we are starting the application, dispatch servlet is being configured, and also you can see AOP and dispatch servlet and embedded Tomcat server. You can see Tomcat server also auto configured, and there is a error MVC auto configuration. It's lot of auto configuration done by Spring Boot itself. If you let's say Yes, dispatch servlet we already discussed, right, last week. So now I am going to show embedded Tomcat server. It is going to initialize embedded Tomcat server also. After that, error auto configuration in the sense. So whenever if you go here, localhost hello world. So this is the API we have written in our controller class. You can see here hello world. One API we have written, right? Hello world API. So whenever you are requesting for hello world API, response came back. So let's say I am giving something else, unknown URL. If you click enter, you can see one web page is displayed. Web page that is showing white label error page. This white label error page we have not developed it actually. So Spring Boot is taking care of it automatically. So that is with the help of error MVC auto configuration. Based on error MVC auto configuration, this class is having the error page which is displaying in the browser now. This is the page is configured in error auto configuration, error MVC auto configuration. So if you want to see this, what we can do, you just need to copy this class and just type it here. I just wanted to show you. Java doc will add later. I just wanted to show you before that. Error MVC configuration. Error MVC configuration. If you click on it, you can see here where it is available. This class is available in, you can see there is a package called, Spring Framework boot arg.spring framework boot.auto-configure.web.servlet.error package. So inside that if you search white label error page, right, error page, you can search that message. For example, white label error message, this is coming, right? You can type this error message, you can easily find. Are you able to see? This is the class. This is where HTML is configured in error MVC auto configuration dot class. Whenever your say wrong URL or anything, any exception happen in Spring Boot application, by default, Spring Boot is taking care of it. We no need to write the error page. So Spring Boot automatically taking care of it with the help of error MVC auto configuration class. You can also open, you can try. What you can do, just type here and just import it. You can click on it. If you click on that class, you can go inside that, and it is a servlet class. You can see all those things, all the error related default error view, any error white label. Even in future we are going to create a web application, right? Web application, RESTful web services, real world. That time you will get to know all those things which are all being called. You can see white label error page, white label error page message is coming. That HTML page is coming from this class. So you can debug like this. So similarly, there is a lot of configurations, error auto configurations. And now if you come down, there is a, you no need to go through all the auto configurations. Few of them you can check. For a jack, you can see here Jackson auto configuration. Jackson auto configuration in the sense, whenever we are returning, for example, currently I am returning only class, right? I'm returning only string message. Hello world, it is string message. In future, if you return any class, bean class, if you return any bean class, what it will return? Response will come as a JSON format. Response will come as a JSON format. So converting bean into JSON format is taken care by Jackson. There is a Jackson auto configuration class. Jackson auto configuration class. What it will do? Whatever bean which we are returning from the controller, those beans will be automatically converted to JSON object, JSON. So this is the class is doing that. So before Spring Boot application, we used to configure this Jackson API manually in traditional Spring application. But in Spring Boot application, we no need to configure this. Spring Boot will take care of it. So after that, so now you might have doubt actually. So the yeah, controller class is there and beans are there. How Spring Boot is identifying these classes under this packages, specific packages. So you can go to Spring Boot application annotation. Inside that, there is at the rate component scan. So component scan annotation, what it will do, based on whatever root package of Spring Boot application. So the root package of Spring Boot application package is there, right? So inside that, all the pack it will scan all the whatever beans, whatever controllers, whatever service classes, everything will be automatically identified with the help of at the rate component scan. And enable auto configuration, it will configure dispatch servlet, and it will configure embedded Tomcat instance and auto config Spring Boot configurations. This is belongs to properties files. For example, if you write any this application dot properties, and if you are going to write any custom related application properties, everything will be being identified with the help of Spring Boot configuration. The mainly Spring Boot auto configured based on these three important annotations. Based on these three annotations, Spring is automatically configuring dispatcher servlet and application context, as well as uh, properties file configurations and error page, everything. So if you see inside Spring Boot application, there is a run method. If you check it here, the Spring application dot, there is a run method available. Inside that run method, when this run method is available, you can go to implementation, run, and just click on that run, click on open implementation. If you go run method, you can find there is a implementation available. Control K. If you just press Control K, run method. Why is not showing, not searching properly? You can see here. There is a run method which is returning configurable application context. Configurable application context. If you see inside that, uh, it is creating application context. Whenever it is executing Spring application, sorry, where is that? When Spring application dot run method is being executed, internally it went inside this method, and then it will create application context, and it will identify the application type, and then it will find out appropriate your business logic. So all those things auto configured inside this class. So for example, let me show you the PDF. If you see Spring Boot application, at the rate Spring Boot application annotation is equal to configuration plus enable auto configuration and plus component scan. So in traditional Spring application, we used to perform these three operations. We have to configure all those things. Now here Spring Boot is taking care of by default with the help of at the rate Spring Boot application. So inside the Spring Boot application, there is a run method. Inside that run method, application context is being created here. You can see here application context is being created here, and also it will identify, it will check the application type. There is a type, you can search for application type, environment type, and application type also there. You can Spring factor is dot type. So based on this type argument, Spring Boot is web application type. You can see configure application type. Based on that, for example, if it is servlet application, it will create a web application context, all those things. If it is a reactive application, it will create a reactive application context. Similarly, it will annotate all, register all the annotation class beans with the context. So what are all the beans which are available in our Spring Boot application? It will instantiate all the objects and it will associate it will register with application context. Similarly, if you can see fourth one. It will create the instance of Tomcat embedded servlet container. This run method will perform all those things. Spring application dot run method will perform create application context. It will check application type. It will register all the beans with application context, and then it will create Tomcat server. So most of the interview questions they will ask actually. So what Spring Boot application will do the how it is auto configuring all the what are all the steps are taken care by Spring Boot application after during the runtime. So you can explain these four steps. So run method will perform. It will create the application context. It will check application type, and it will register all the bins with application context, and it will create Tomcast instance. So after performing these four operations, then only our Spring Boot application is going to successfully application will be started. So if you want, you can go in depth here. You can go one by one. When you invoke the run method, Spring application context, it creates the web application context for your web application. So if you check I have clearly mentioned here. If you go implementation, you can see where it will configure application context. Where it is, you can see here directly run method inside the run method. Let me go through the run method. You can see here if you go and check create application context. Inside that, your application context is being created, and the application type will be identified based on this web application type. So I think most of the people got to know now what Spring Boot is doing internally after executing the your application. So here some high level diagram I am showing it here. You can see run method. After clicking on run method, Spring application class contains run method. Run method will create configurable application context, and then your application will launch successfully. So and all the beans, all the instance, whatever beans and service classes which are available in your application. So all those things will be created by default. It will create singleton class objects actually. So all the bean class objects, all the service classes will create as a singleton bean class object. Singleton in the sense. So if you are deploy your application in production, thousands of users, lakhs of users are going to access your application, right? So whenever people are going to access your application, that application context object is going to create only once. That created object only being used for all the users. Similarly, service class objects and DAO class objects. So all those things, one singleton object is being created, and that object is going to used by all the users. So some people may have doubts, are 100 users are logging into my application. So how many application context objects are going to create? Only one. Only one. If 100 users are accessing your application, it always uses that Spring container is created only one application context object. That application context object will be shared with all the users, number of users, how thousand, any number of users who is going to access your application. Only one singleton application context object is going to create. Similarly, services and dev classes that we are going to, I will show you once we are developing real-time application. So this is how Spring Boot application internally perform all the auto configurations and all. So now I will show you one simple REST APIs which we are going to create now. User management. For example, we are going to create management APIs like create user, update user, delete user, find user. So how we can do? So some people may have doubt actually. So if you want to perform these things, we need a database operations, right? We need a database. So without database, we are going to perform all code operations, insert, update, and delete operations. We are going to perform with the help of there is a collection class in core Java, array list. You know, right? Everyone aware of it. Array list class object. So array list, we are going to perform all user creation, user update, user delete, search user, all the operations we are going to perform with one array list. So initially we'll create with array list. Once we are able to create, once you learn all the simple API creation, then we will go with database operations. Okay. So now before that, so if you want to test your application, post operations, create operation, update operation, we need a client, right? So far we have tested with browser client. Now without browser, there is another number of clients are there. One of the client is Postman. So most of the companies are used by most of the companies are using Postman to perform their REST API operations to invoke all the APIs. If you want to test your APIs, we can use Postman. It was very popular. Most of the companies are going to use. So we can download now. Just type Postman. Postman in the sense what we are using. So earlier when we are testing our APIs, we are testing through browser, right? So now instead of testing from the browser, we are going to install Postman. You can type and go to Google and type Postman. Then you can see there is a option called download Postman. Click on that download Postman. So now you can see here software is available. You can download it. Click on this download button. There is a 64-bit Postman is available. You can just click on download. If you have any Mac applications like Apple laptops, then you can download this one. There is a Apple supported software that you can download by clicking. You can see I am highlighting here. You can click on this button if anyone has Apple laptop. Postman 64-bit can download it here, and Windows users you can click on this button. Postman is used to invoke APIs. What are all the APIs if you are going to perform? Those all the APIs we are going to invoke with the help of Postman. Postman is a one of the REST client application, REST client software. So from here we can invoke all the APIs. Most of the companies are using this Postman. There is n number of clients are there. So Postman is one of the software to invoke all the APIs. Once you double click, your API will be open. You can see your API is there. So earlier, previous batch, I have created a set of APIs. So by that time, I have created few APIs that is already stored in my Postman earlier. That is cached actually. So the in cache that's the reason I am able to see all the existing APIs. If you are installing first time, you will not see anything. You cannot find anything. Okay. So now let's create user API. How we are going to create user API? So if you want to create user API, first we need to create a package called, right click on the root package of the project, go to new, and then click on package, create DTOs. Let's name it as a DTO. I will explain you what is DTO. DTO in the sense data transfer object. Technically, we can call it as a data transfer object. The data is transforming between, during the web service discussion, we discuss, right? So data transfer between client and server. So technically it will be call it as a DTO, data transfer object. So I'm giving as a .dto package. I'm going to create DTO package. So data transfer object came into picture. I will tell you one real time example what is exactly DTO, what it will do. So let's say for example, one person is there. Okay, one person is there. He is starting from the home. He is starting from the home to market. One person is going from his home to market. Why he is going to market? To carrying the vegetables to his home. So one person is going to market to carry vegetables for him for his home. Okay, so what he will do? So he went to the market. Okay, let's assume one person is went to the market. So what he has bought he purchased most of the vegetables. Let's say he purchased all the vegetables which he needed, but unfortunately he forgot to carry the bag actually. So if you want to carry the vegetables, you need a bag, right? So inside that bag you can keep all the vegetables and you can carry to home. So this person is forgot to carry the bag. Okay, so what he has done now, how he'll bring all the vegetables to his home. So let's assume there is no bag in the market. Just assume it. Okay, so what he has to do, he purchased let's say he purchased 20 vegetables, 20 variety of vegetables he purchased in the market. Now all these 20 vegetables uh, take it and he has to bring it to home. So he don't have bag now. How he can carry all those vegetables? So so he can carry one by one. So he cannot carry 20 vegetables right at a time. Let's say he can carry one by one. So one bag, one vegetable he took and he went back to the home and he kept in the home. Again he went to the market. Again he's collecting second item, and then again he went back to the home and then delivering it. Like this 20 times he has to go to the market and then he has to come back to his home. So this is very late process. This is very late process, right? So 20 times he has to go to the market and all 20 vegetables he has to carry to his home. So to overcome that problem, what he has done, next day he took the bag from his home. Okay, he took the bag and then again he went to the market. So he purchased all the vegetables and he kept inside the bag. He kept inside the bag. And then at a time that bag can carry 20. Let's assume that bag can carry all 20 vegetables. So he took all 20 vegetables inside that bag. He kept inside that bag, and that person will carry that with that the person will carry that bag to his home. So how many times this time? How many times he has to go to the market? Only one time. So that's where this DTO came into picture. Data transfer object is came into picture. This is how DTO is nothing but bag is here. The person who is carrying that bag, right? Bag is nothing but one DTO, data transfer object. Why I'm telling in real time? So let's say here we are. If you don't create the DTO, let's say if you don't create the DTO, let me open the Notepad plus plus to make you understand easily. If you Notepad plus plus, let's say one person is having 10 items, 10 items in the sense, let's say technically you have first name, user will have first name, right? Next user will have last name, and user will have mobile number. At the same time user will have age, user will have address, and user will have uh, let's say example, okay, user will have bank account. Oh, similarly, so now let's say if I want to send this first name to our server, from our server, right? So from server, if you want to create the resource, you have to send you have to send the user details, right? You have to send user details to the server. So let's say you have a server here. You have server here. So if you want to send first name to all these four items to the server, how you can send? Let's say if you don't create the object, if you don't create the object, you have to send first name one time, last name one time, with the help of request.get parameter of first name, request.get parameter of last name, request.get parameter of find mobile number. Similarly, rest of these many number of times you have to write the logic in your server. So instead of that, we are going to create one simple DTO class. That class can carry all the properties at a time. So let me show you how it is. If you go here, create the DTO object, new class user DTO. Just name it as a user DTO. Click on finish button. Okay, so now, so what are the things user will have? Private first name. Okay, we can take it as a string, string string. So user should have user ID also, right? Let me create the user ID. Private. I will take long user ID. Similarly, private. We are going to create the user. For that, we are creating the properties. String last name. We'll create 5 or 6 properties. Now private. Let me create long mobile number. Why I took long? So integer cannot hold the mobile number. Integer does not have capability to store 10 character of number. So that's the reason we need a long to store that mobile number. So private, if you see, if you want, you can test also integer. Let's say later I will show you that. Let me take it as a long. So now private age I will take integer or int. You can take int age and spell mistake. Private int. Now private string city. Okay, let's take 1 2 3 4 5 6 properties I took. So now I am going to create one constructor. Everybody aware of it, right? How constructor. So you right click on the class, go to source and generate constructor. You can see generate constructor using fields. We no need to write the code for it. Eclipse will help us to create code by default. Okay, so now I am going to create setter methods also. So setter methods, I will tell you what is the purpose of setter methods. So right click on the class and click on source option, and then you can go to generate getters and setter methods, and then select all and click on finish. So your setter methods and getter methods are available. So setter methods are used to set the data. Getter methods are useful for to get the data. Let me create override toString method. Source, there is a toString method. So in core Java, you people have learned, right, what is toString and what is its advantage. So in generally, this is one Java class object, right? This is one Java class object. If you want to display the object, if you display the object, what it will display? You cannot see the data. So for example, user DTO is equal to new user DTO. So user DTO, if you print user DTO, what will display? It will display some bytecode in the unreadable code. So you can't see the data. If you want to see the data, you have to override toString method. If you override toString method, you can display the object of user DTO. Yeah, twisting method also generated. So now our user DTO is ready. Now go to our controller. So we are going to perform all the code operations with the help of array list. So let me create array list private uh, array list, or we'll create a better way, list user list is equal new array list. So list object available in which class? There is a package called java.util package. So if you want to import a respective data collection framework, so you just need to press Control O. If you press Control Shift O, all the imports will import automatically. So now list of users we are going to create, we need to pass list of user DTO. So now what it is saying, user DTO is not resolved. So what you have to do, you have to import it. Control Shift O. That's it. If you click on Control Shift O, it will import automatically. So now our array list is ready. So how we can create? So initially we are going to create some hard coded values. So for that, I will create one static block. So everybody aware of it, right? What is static block? I will explain. So static block. So whenever one Java class is being compiled, or during the execution or during the compilation, so first static block only is being called. First, which one is being called? Even if you have 100 methods, or even if you have n number of properties, only static block or static constants or static variables are being initialized starting of the class. So whenever it is going to load in the main memory, first static block only is being executed. If you want, you can test. Actually, you can write one simple Java class and just write one main method, and you can write one static block, and write one SOP here, and write in one SOP in main class also. So first, which one is being called? Static block only, which is going to executes. So why I am writing this? So I am going to create some default users. So for that purpose, before loading this controller, I want my user list object to create with number of users. So how we can do that? Now let me add dot user list dot. Why it is not recognizing? Oh yeah, since it is a static block, inside the static block only static variables will be allowed. Non-static variables will not allow inside the static block. So what we need to do, we have to declare our array list as a static. Only static variables and static instances will be used in static block. So now user list dot add. So what is this object? User list object contains user DTO. So list of users we need to add. So user list dot add, but how we can add the data into array list? There is a method called add method. So inside that I am going to add new user DTO. So user DTO is having constructor, right? So what is the first value? You can go and check. First value is user ID, and second value is first name. Similarly, last name, mobile number. So I am going to pass some hard coded values here. So let me write one. One is long, right? So I am just giving only. And now second argument is first name. This is not going to type now for me. This is my laptop issue. So paste. Now here you can give first name. I am going to give Rasul, comma. Now second value I am going to give Sheikh. Similarly, what is third one? I think mobile number 9035160783. Since it is a long, so why I'm declaring as a long? If you don't specify L, it will treat as a integer by default. If you type any number in Java, it is by default it will take it as a integer. So but here we have to get as a long, so that's the reason I am giving 1L, then only it will become as a long data type. Okay, similarly mobile number also long. So what is the other one after mobile number? Age and city. So age I will give 35. So now city, I will give let's say Qatar. Similarly, rest of the create one list of 5 users at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have created 5 users. So let me give individual values 2, 3. So real time we are not going to perform this. Okay. So real time, sir, we are going to write this code. No. So this is only to make you understand how to create simple REST APIs, user APIs with array list. I am going to show you. Okay. So most of the people don't know. Most of the people knows actually only if database is there, then only I can store the data. Some of the people interview they will ask you, I have a requirement like I don't have database, but still I want to create a user API. How you are going to store? How you are going to create the API without database? So interviewer will ask you. So I have done almost most lot of people I have done. I took interview. Uh, 90% of the people without database, how we can store users and all like that they are answered actually. So there is different ways are there to store data without database. So how we can do with the help of collection framework. So this one best example. So without database, we can perform all the code operations. So now let me go 1, 2, 3, 4, and next give 5. 5 no Rasul. Okay. Next I will give uh, 3. No. Okay. 3. No. Some name. Okay. Bosaraj. He is one of my friend, and there is another one. Kumar. Kumar Yam. Okay. Let me give Kumar Yam. Next. Kishore. You can give any number, any name, guys. I'm just giving some example names. You can give any number of names. Uh, Seti. Okay. So let me give another name. Uh, Prakash. Prakash P. Okay. So I have created now mobile number. Give different mobile numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 7, 8, 9, 10. Similarly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Some random mobile numbers I am giving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So age also I am going to define 31 and 40. One guy is having 16. Another user is having 50. Let me take Bangalore. Change the city name also. Hyderabad, Delhi, Chennai. So now I have created user list object, and I have created 5 users. Okay, so now how we can display these 5 users? Okay, so now I am going to create one API to display all the users. So we are going to create user API to display all the users. Public. So earlier we are returning only string. So string type. So what is the return type? So since it is a string, we the return type of method will be string. So now what we are going to return? List of users. So list of users in the sense what is the return type of our method? List of users. So list of user DTO I am going to return, and then write method list users or get users, anything, get users. So what this method will return? It will return user list. That's it. So now our API is ready. So method is ready. Now some of the people already knows, right? So what is the API? What is the method? HTTP. What is the HTTP request method for getting all the users? Get API to retrieve all the users. What is the API? What is the HTTP request method? It should be at the rate get mapping. You have to give at the rate get mapping. So you have to pass value as a uh, my laptop is giving at the rate. Whenever I'm typing string, it is giving me as a at the rate. Okay, now let me type. So now here you can give list find all or find users or display users or get users, anything. Let me give as a find users. Okay, find users. So our API is ready now. Now let me start. If you see here, my server is already started earlier. You can see server is already in started mode. So, but in middle I have modified the code. Will my changes will reflect or not? Let me try here. If you go to the browser, try hello world. Yeah, hello world is working. Now I am going to give find user API. So if you go and try find user API, click on enter, you can see 404. 404 in the sense resource not found. API is not available. What does that mean? API is not available. We have written here. We wrote the API, but still it is saying not found. 404. Why? Because whenever you are modifying the changes, you must need to restart the server. You must need to restart the server. So I just stop the server. Let me start the server again. So if you go there and just type find users, awesome. So you can see all the users are displayed here. User 1, user 2. This is the JSON format. We can call it as a JavaScript object notation. So this is JSON object. So we are returning DTO user list, but it is showing as a JSON. How it is possible? Because Spring Boot is having Jackson Jackson auto configuration class. That class will convert our user list to JSON object. Okay, so this is not look good actually. So for readable purpose this is not look good. So what I will do, there is a online JSON formatter. You can type JSON formatter Chrome extension. You just type JSON formatter Chrome extension or JSON format. So after that there is a one link JSON formatter. Click on that link. It is a plugin, actually plugin for Chrome. You can just add to the Chrome browser. Any browser you can add this plugin. The moment you click on that JSON formatter link, there is an option called add to the Chrome. I am adding this plugin to the browser. Add extension. So it is added successfully. So now we need to restart the browser. So because we just added the plugin, right? We just need to restart the browser. Restart the browser. Then click on localhost. Hello world. Yeah, it's coming. Now, what is the API we need to call? Find users API. Enter. See now how it is looking. So earlier how it looks, you can see right side there is two options, raw and parsed. Earlier it is looking like this. So this is not a readable format. If you click on parsed one, you can see very you can view, you can read properly. So user 1, user 2 and user 3, user 4 and user 5. So we are able to fetch all the users by using find users API. With the help of find user API, we are able to fetch all the users. So this is how we can write one simple API to fetch all the users. Generally, in real time, right? Real time, we are not going to store user information in array list. We are going to store user information in database like MySQL or Oracle or NoSQL DBs, Couchbase or MongoDB. Depends on their requirement. So we are going to store user information in database, but here we haven't stored the data in database, but with the help of array list we are performing find user operation. So most of the if you attend uh, most of the companies interview, right? Some people who is having technical knowledge, they will ask, so I need a REST API to create all the users. I don't have database, so can you create for me? So how we can do? This is the way. This is how you can perform uh, user operations with array list. So now next let me write one more API to find the users. How we can write to find the users? Let me create one more method. Let me create one more method. Public. So I am going to find the user. So if you want to find the user, if you want to find the user, how you can find it? With the help of, so write on API. So let me write public. This method will write on user DTO. So why one user DTO? Because if you search any one user, only one user will come. So based on our requirement, I am going to perform to find each individual user. So here our method will return one user. So now let me write find user method. So how we can find this? We can write, or I have written one method. Now what this method will return? User object. For the time being, let me return null. So otherwise it will always show the error. So now what I will do? So here from where we need to pass, let's say take browser only. So from here find user slash one. If you search with this URL, we need to get so user number one, we have to get that response. Okay, so if you give find user slash number two slash two, if you give slash two, we should get user details number two. If you give three, we should get user details number three. So this is our requirement. So we have a list. In this list we have how many users? We have five users. Out of five users we are going to search whichever user you want. So for that we are going to write the API. Let me write the code now. So this is the user list from where we need to find from the user list. So if you want to pass, so for here we are passing parameter, right? Slash 3. if you give /3/1 any input, if you give /3, we can call it as a path variable. Any input, if you are passing as part of URI, we can call it as a path variable slash any input if you pass as part of URI is called as a path variable. So we have to receive this variable in our server. So how we can receive? So let me write here. So we need to write. So this is actually get API, right? So again we need get mapping. We have to perform get mapping. So give your URL. Give your URL. Sorry, not at the rate. Specify within the string. So here you can give find user. So this API will return list of users. This API will return only one user. Find user. So to retrieve this path variable, we need to specify slash open brace curly brace. Within the curly brace we have to pass user ID. That's it. So how we can get the path variable from the client? This is how, as part of the API, followed by the API, we need to pass path variable. So how we can get slash within the curly brace, we need to give any variable, not only user ID, any variable you can give, just a name. So I have, since it is user ID, I am giving it as a user ID. Now here how we can retrieve? There is a annotation called at the rate path variable. There is a annotation called path variable. With the help of path variable, we are going to retrieve path variable from the client. So just give user ID. That's it. So I have given user. Now I can get the user ID here. I need to search this user ID inside this array list. So now user list dot. So I think so most of the people are having JDK8 knowledge, right? So if you want to retrieve the user in traditional way, we have to perform for loop. Actually, generally we used to write for loop, right? How we can iterate the list for int I equal to 0 or int colon, so user list. So this is how we have to return actually. So instead of this, JDK8 is having stream API. Which API is API called stream API. With the help of stream API, we can filter all the objects. So now you can learn here user list dot stream. So now what we need to do, we have to filter. We have to filter in the sense within this array list. If you want to filter, there is a method called user. Sorry, stream dot. There is a method called filter. Inside that filter, we need to pass predicate. So user lambda expression, everybody knows, right? Lambda expressions. So this object will return user object. If you, whenever you are iterating the object, user list will have user object. So just giving one variable user object, user equal user dot get user ID dot equals whatever input coming from the client. That's it, user ID. So after that, there is another method called find first. Find first dot get. That's it. You are going to get the user object now. So if you want this is not reading, you can't read properly, right? Write in this way. So this will be look good. If you write in this way, readable purpose, it will be very good. So how we are going to return now? User list dot stream dot filter. Filter in the sense here we are writing a condition. Which condition? Whenever from the array list, user dot get user ID equals to the input of API. The input of API, if this user ID matches, If user id matches, then there is a method called find first and dot get. So this will return user object. So this will return user of. Now this is not needed. You can directly return user. That's it. Now let me restart the server. So I need to restart the server because without restarting server, my changes will not reflect. So later we will overcome that problem. Without restarting the server also, we can modify the Java class without restarting. Our changes will reflect automatically. That I will explain you tomorrow. Okay, so now our server started successfully. So let me find user. I'm calling the API find user slash. Let me type 4. What is this exception came? 500 internal error. Why? Let me try. Successful error came. Good. So whenever exception comes, some people will get panic. Why? So if you get exception, you can learn very easily. You can learn very easily. So what it is saying, no value present option, no value present. Why value is not present? Let me go to the user list has 1 2 3 4 5. Oh yeah, why? Because so what is the type? What is the type in user DTO? What is the type in user DTO? Long. But here what I am passing string. So it will not match. What we have to give? We have to give it as a long data type. LONG. Long data type. Now let me stop the server. Then let me start again. Now go to the browser. Now you can see user number 2 we are able to retrieve. Before that I want to find all the users. Let me find it here first. Find users API. So by default how many users are there? 5 users are there. So now out of these 5 users I want to search user number 3. You are able to fetch user number 3. If you want to fetch user number 1, so you are able to fetch user number 1. This is how we can write simple REST API to find the user from array list. So this is how we can write simple APIs. So tomorrow we can create, insert, update and delete APIs. Okay guys. So you have to practice every day. If you don't practice, you cannot learn the programs. Okay guys, we'll catch you tomorrow. Let me stop the recording.